Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 2. Now let's start the fanfic. Naru-chan, please be careful, the exams are dangerous. With that said, I expected you to be promoted. Tsunade told her grandson. Naruto smiled and hugged Tsunade. I'll be fine, I promise. Naruto told her before releasing her and approaching Shizune. She was giving Naruto a warm smile, then kissed him on the cheek. For good luck, Shizune said. Naruto blushed and nodded. He headed out the door towards the academy to meet up with his teammates. It was his time, he would be one step closer to his dream. All his hard work will pay off, at least that he was hoping for. Naruto. Naruto looked up and saw Sakura waving at him smiling. Sasuke was in the back with his eyes closed. Naruto approached the team, receiving a hug from Sakura. Are you ready? Of course, it's time to show the world that Team 7 is the greatest team. Naruto said, leading his teammates to the exam. Sasuke seethed, thinking he should be the one to lead. When they walked up the first set of stairs, they noticed Team Guy. Please, we just want to take the exam. Tenten pleaded on the ground. Naruto smiled, he knew she was faking but didn't know why. He then looked at the room door in front of them, it said 302. Sakura-chan, this is the wrong floor. Let's move upstairs. Naruto whispered. Sakura nodded and was about to follow Naruto. Remove the genjutsu, it's pathetic. Sasuke said, walking forward. He was trying to put himself on a pedestal and show that a Uchiha couldn't be fooled. Sasuke-tem, I know you like to show off, but what you just did, you just made yourself look like a moron, dumbass. This was a test to weed out the weak, but you had to give everyone the answer. At this rate you're not Chunin material. Naruto scolded. Sasuke seethed and was about to say something until Team Guy. Wow, what's that sword? May I take a look, Naruto-kun? Naruto smiled at the weapon lover. Sure. He handed the girl his sword. Tenten had hearts in her eyes. The sword was a beautiful crimson red, mixed with black. It was well taken care of and sharpened just right. She handed the sword back to Naruto. That's an amazing sword, do you mind if we spar sometime? Sure. Anyway, I have something for you. Naruto said, pulling out a scroll and handing it to Tenten. Tenten looked confused but opened the scroll. Her eyes had stars when she saw multiple shurikens, kunais and different swords. Naruto chuckled at her reaction. And here's the best part, they're made out of chakra metal. Tenten's head snapped at Naruto when she heard that. And you'll just give it to me? Of course, you want to be a weep HMPH. Naruto couldn't finish when Tenten slammed her lips onto Naruto. Sakura's eyes twitched a bit. Sasuke didn't care and Team Guy was shocked at the reaction. She pulled back and gave him a flirty wink. Thanks Naruto, maybe after the exam we could train sometime. Tenten said. Naruto nodded dumbly before replying. Sure, if I get a kiss like that every time I give you a weapon, I might go hunting for more. Naruto said with a blush and scratched his cheek. Tenten punched Naruto's arm. You have to buy me dinner first. Who knows? You might get lucky. Naruto smiled at that. Are you Naruto Uzumaki? Naruto turned to Neji but for some odd reason, he was glaring at him. You're the one Hinata-sama always talks about and the one responsible for her recent change. Because of you, she now thinks she can change her fate as a failure. Naruto's eyes narrowed at the comment. Let's get some things straight. 1. I have no idea what change you're on about. Anko. And 2. Watch what you say about her. Neji snorted. Or what? Or I might do something I regret. Naruto said in a dark tone, putting his hand on the hilt of his sword. Neji activated his Byakugan and Naruto's eyes turned slit. The room was filled with Naruto's killer intent. Neji wasn't showing it but he was a little scared. Sakura was concerned Naruto might do something he regrets. You two calm down, it's unyouthful for comrades to fight. Lee said, walking between them. Neji deactivated his eyes and walked towards the stairs. You better not hope we don't face each other. The Hyuga said walking up the stairs. Tenten shook her head disappointedly. I'm sorry about him, he has a pole stuck up his, Tenten commented, causing both Naruto and Sakura to laugh. Lee approached the Pinkett blushing. Excuse me, Sakura-chan. You are the most beautiful girl I ever laid my eyes on. Will you be my girlfriend? I promise to protect you with my life. Rock Lee proposed. Sakura looked at the green spandex boy and signed. Sorry Lee, was it? I already have my eyes on someone else. Sakura said. Lee cried anime tears for a second before turning to Sasuke. Excuse me Sasuke Uchiha, I would like you to spar with me. Naruto, Sakura and Tenten looked at Lee with a shocked look on their faces. Sasuke gave Lee an arrogant smirk. You know who I am and still want to fight me. I do. I want to prove genius can beat natural talent. Lee responded. Sasuke, don't do it. The Uchiha turned to Naruto as the blonde continued. You can't beat him as you are, he's strong. Sasuke snorted and turned to face Lee. I'll end this in a minute. Naruto shook his head and turned to walk away. Sakura decided to follow him. Naruto-kun, why did you say that? Do you believe Sasuke will lose? Naruto nodded. Yes. Sasuke's pink eye won't work on him. How come? He doesn't use chakra but he is a pro at taijutsu. Sasuke will not be able to touch him. When they approached the top of the stairs, Kakashi was there waiting for them. Hey you two, where's Sasuke? Getting his glorified handed to him by Bushy Brow Jr. Naruto answered as Sasuke approached them limping. He looked at Naruto and narrowed his eyes. Not a damn word, Sasuke said. Naruto whistled innocently while Sakura giggled. You should have listened to Naruto-kun, he did try to warn you. Sakura said. Sasuke glared at her, causing her to blink confusingly. When you said, not a word, I thought it only meant for Naruto. Kakashi signed. Well, I'm glad all three of you are here, especially you two Sakura and Naruto. Be safe and even if you don't make Chunin, there's always next year but try your best. Naruto and Sakura looked at each other and smirked. Kakashi had no idea about their training and thought it was funny. When they walked through the doors they were met with glares from multiple glares. Naruto ignored it and walked towards the corner of the room with his team in pursuit. Naruto, test out your Kitsune, it can couple jutsu like the Sharingan and repel genjutsu towards the caster. I also modified it so you can see chakra levels and hum true attention through their chakra. If it's black, they're a threat, if it yellow, they're friendly and blue they're neutral. Naruto nodded and activated his new dojutsu. His eyes turned gold and had slits. He looked around the room, analyzing the competition. Across the room and raven-haired, pink-eye Kunoichi was looking at Naruto. It can't be. He looks like the Yondaime description. Damn, this couldn't be worse timing. Trying to make an alliance with these tree huggers, to find out the Yellow Devil has a son. I might be wrong but if I'm not, Ka-chan will be avenged. The Kunoichi thought, holding a hilt of a special katana. On the other side of the room, there was a Kumo team of 3 girls. 1 redhead and 2 blondes. One blonde had a twist in her hair and the other had short hair that goes to her shoulder, but there was something special about these 2 girls. The first one was a Jinchuriki and the second had a sword with a silver hilt. Both the blondes were eyeing Naruto suspiciously. Yugito, Samui, what are you two staring at? Karui asked. The competition, he has one of the 5 shatter star blades like me. Samui answered. Not only that, but there's something about him that feels similar. Yugito added. Karui looked at her teammates confusingly and turned to Naruto. He doesn't seem like much. I bet I'll kick Hisuna instinct. Karui said. If you fight him, you won't win. He's strong, I can feel it. Do not underestimate him if you fight. Samui said in a stern tone. Naruto was analyzing the competition until he snapped out his thoughts. Looks like the gang's all here. Kiba said with Shino and Hinata walking behind him. The Inuzuka turned to Sasuke and smirked. We're so going to kick your Sasuke, I've gotten a lot stronger since the last time. Sasuke smirked. We'll see, won't we? Kiba nodded and turned to Naruto. I'm surprised you're here, dead last, but I guess it was because Sasuke had to backpack your, Kiba taunted. Sakura was about to retort, but Naruto put a hand on her shoulder and shook his head. Never underestimate your opponent, Mutt. You might regret it. Naruto said. Kiba was about to retort when a purple blur jumped on Naruto's back. Hello fellow blonde, I missed you. Ino said, rubbing her cheek against Naruto's. Pig, get off Naruto-kun. Sakura yelled at the blonde, grabbing Naruto's arm and hugging it. Kiba was shocked at the display. Shikamaru and Choji walked towards the group as well. When did the loser become a chick magnet? Kiba asked. Then he received a smack on the head from Hinata. It's not nice to insult our friends, Kiba-san. Hinata said, walking to the group and greeting Naruto. You rookies shouldn't be too loud. A silver-haired guy with glasses walked up to the group. You see, some of them are from Kiri and they have a short temper. Everyone here is tense, Kabuto said, pointing at a group of nin, releasing some ki on the rookies, trying to intimidate them. Naruto stepped forward and smiled. Kuruma. Right. Naruto smiled and released some ki of his own, along with Kuruma's chakra, scaring most of the competition. Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't appreciate people glaring at my friends. Sasuke was seething in jealousy at the display. Kiba was shocked. Shino smiled under his jacket, while Sakura, Ino and Hinata was awe as the former Uchiha fangirls had hearts in their eyes, while the Hyuga heiress was blushing up a storm. Kabuto narrowed his eyes at Naruto, but soon he turned it to a cheerful eye smile. Wow, pretty impressive. Anyway, I'm Kabuto and I'll help you guys out. Here, let me show you something. He said, pulling out some cards and placing them in front of them. Kabuto-san, how many times did you take these exams? Excuse me for being rude, but you seem a little older than us. Sakura asked. Oh, I took the exams 7 times. Kabuto answered. Wow, you must. Kiba commented. Naruto narrowed his eyes. That doesn't make any sense. He has as much chakra as Kakashi-sensei and he smells like Anko-chan but more potent with a hint of chemicals. Naruto thought. Or these exams are just hard. Kabuto responded by holding up a card. These are chakra-infused cards. It contains information about almost anyone in this room. If there's anyone you want to know about, it'll be a good time to ask. Sasuke stepped up. Anyone, huh? Subaku no Gaara, Rock Lee and Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto frowned and smirked. I think it speaks very poorly of you, Tem, to ask about your own teammate. But considering you're a self-righteous prick, I guess it's hard to take your head out your. Sasuke gritted his teeth but ignored the comment. Ah, you know their names. Let's see. Rock Lee, he has completed 20 D rank and 11 C rank missions. His teammates are Tenten and Neji. And he's skilled in taijutsu, not much information on any other skills. Gaara, his teammates are his brother and sister 14 C ranks and 1 B rank missions. Since he's a foreigner there's no info on his skills but it said he completed every mission without a scratch. A B rank mission, without a scratch. That's something for a genin. Shikamaru commented. Now Naruto Uzumaki, now let's see. What? Kabuto said in surprise. 32 C rank, 5 B ranks, 5 A ranks. He also received no scratches on his B rank missions. But the weird thing is, it says here that his skills are mediocre. He should be just a high genin. Kabuto stated. Everyone turned to Naruto with a confused gaze. Naruto just smirked. I guess Jeej forgot to update my skills, I should thank him later. Naruto thought. Sakura and Ino analyzed the blonde and smiled. I see. Naruto-kun is keeping his skills a secret. After all, there's no way a regular genin could fight a missing nin with a sword without any skills. Sakura thought. Forehead told me Naru-kun beat a missing nin, so that means she was either overexaggerated or Naru-kun hiding his skills. Ino thought. Sasuke gritted his teeth and glared at the blonde. When did he do those missions? This guy is useless. The Dobi must be hiding his true power. In the back of the crowd with 3 sound nins, the female of the trio was looking at Naruto. Kabuto-san is a fool. The blonde is practically leaking power. And not just him. The blonde with the ponytail from Kumo and Gaara feels the same. They're the real threat. Mindy from Taki has just as much power, but she doesn't feel as strong. Naruto huh? Maybe he can help me get away from him. Jonin lounge. Wow. I didn't think you would allow your team to do B-rank missions, Kakashi. Asuma said, watching the genin from the monitor alongside his fellow Jonin. I didn't. I have no idea how he completed those missions. Kakashi stated. When did his blonde student complete those missions and why did the Hokage allow it? All he had Sasuke do the past few months was D ranks and some light sparring and gave him a few fire jutsus. Do you mind if I join you? Everyone turned to see Yugao walk in the lounge. Yugao-chan, why are you here and not in Anbu headquarters? Kurenai asked. Well, until the exams are over, I'm a Jonin and I'm here to witness my apprentice in action. Yugao answered, standing next to Kurenai. Kakashi gave the Anbu a questionable glance. What? Who's your apprentice? Now why would I spoil it, Kakashi-senpai? I will tell you he's the real threat of the exams. I'm proud to be his teacher. Yugao answered. Kakashi shrugged and turned to the screen. Most likely won't be a match for Sasuke. Most likely it's Tenten. Academy room. What? Listen to me, we shouldn't do this. Kin tried to warn her teammate. Dosu and Zaku wanted to attack Kabuto for calling them basically nobodies. But Kin was against it since a certain blonde was near the Konoha spy. That Naruto kid is aware, he's been shifting his stance and been listening to us. Shut up, you're just paranoid. Let's go. Dosu said as he and Zaku leapt towards Kabuto. Kin turned her attention to the blonde and saw him smirk as he put his hand on the hilt of his sword. Dosu swiped at Kabuto, breaking his classes with gauntlets. Put this in your cards, the sound will make chunin. Now how will that happen if you're going to be dead? Said Kabuto in Naruto's voice. Kabuto poofed and revealed to be Naruto and Naruto poofed out of existence revealing to be a Bushin. Dosu then felt a blade on his shoulder. He slowly turned his head and saw the real Naruto holding a sword to his throat. First the sand, now the sound. You guys trying to start a war or something? I don't sit well when my comrades are attacked. Zaku. Dosu called out to his teammate. Zaku charged at the blonde with a kunai, but was struck in the arm by Hinata Jukin strike. Ino then tripped the sound nin and Sakura put him in a headlock. Dosu turned his head to the genin group and saw Kabuto jaw dropped. How did you know? Let's just say, thanks to a furry friend of mine, I have advanced hearing. Naruto answered by bringing the blade closer. He turned to the 3 girls and nodded towards them. Please let them go, I need them to pass the exam. Regardless of how stupid they are. Kin said, walking up to the group. Naruto removed his sword and nodded towards the girls that held Zaku, prompting them to release him. He turned to Dosu and smirked. You should think of your cute teammate. Beauty and brains come in a package. Naruto said. Kin blushed at the comment and the three walked away glaring at the blonde. Alright you maggots, settle down. Ibuki said, bursting through the door. Jonin lounge. Kakashi, Asuma and Kurenai were awed when they watched their students in action. When did Naruto and Sakura improve this much? When did Ino actually start training? Asuma asked. When did Hinata get so aggressive? Kurenai pondered. In the village, a woman drinking sake, one outside the forest of death and on shopping with a pig sneezed. Testing room. Naruto sat down next to a girl from Taki and Tamari, both of them eyeing him. He turned to the sheet of paper and narrowed his eyes. What the heck, are these the questions we are supposed to answer? No genin can answer unless you were tutored by an Anbu. Alright, listen up. My name is Ibuki and I'm the first proctor. This is a written test and I'm going to explain the rules. Rule 1. Each of you will start off with 10 points. Every time you get a question wrong, you lose a point. Rule 2. This is still a team assignment. Which means passing or failing will be determined by the sum of your total 3. If you're caught doing suspicious acts like cheating or whispering, you lose 2 points. You have 1 hour to finish, begin. Naruto chuckled a bit. Ibuki practically told them the objective. He looked at the test and he was able to answer a few thanks to Yugao, but some of them were hard. He turned to check on his teammates and wasn't surprised to see Sakura able to answer the question. Sasuke was using his pink eye to cheat. Naruto and Sakura's eyes met and the blonde started to mouth the questions and Sakura nodded. Naruto turned back around and closed his eyes, while focusing his hearing on Sakura pen sound using his wind affinity and Kuruma sensitive ears and began to write to the rhythm of her pen. After an hour and kicking a few teams out, Ibuki decided to call it. Alright maggots, time's up, Ibiki said. He then turned to Kankuro and smirked. If you're finished playing with your dolls, we can finish. Kankuro flinched a bit and proceeded. Before I give you the 10th question, you have to choose if you are going to take the question. And if you don't, you and your team will fail. Also, if you get this wrong, you'll never become a chunin. After a few people left, Naruto noticed Choji about to raise his hand and spoke up. Whatever, I'm not scared. If I remain a genin forever, I guess the old man will have to change the rank system for genin to the strongest because I'm going to be the best. Everyone turned to Naruto and smiled. He's pretty cool. He's awesome. I hope we can become friends. Even though he's that Tem's son, I gotta admit I'm impressed. Naruto-kun is amazing. Yeah, go Naruto-kun. Blondie is definitely boyfriend material. Gotta admit, he's kinda hot. Yeah, Naruto-kun. He's kinda cool. I have to ask him for help soon, but gotta admit, he's not bad, was the thought of different kunoichis. Anko landed on the desk in front of the genin. Heads up everyone, the sexy and happily taken Anko Mitarashi is here. Anko said, holding a banner with those exact words. But Naruto, Sakura and Hinta noticed a drawing of Naruto and Anko surrounded by hearts. Anko, you're early. Ibiki chassled. Anko rubbed the back of her head and chuckled. She then turned to the genin and frowned. Damn 29 teams. You'll lose your touch. You can actually thank the blonde knucklehead. He encouraged the rest with a nice little speech in it up. Ibiki responded, glaring at the Uzumaki. Anko turned to the blonde and smirked. She sat on Naruto's table and crossed her legs, revealing a little under her skirt. Hey Foxy-kun, causing trouble as always? Anko asked, bending down and placing her finger under his chin. She turned to Hinata who was next to the blonde. Hi Imouto-chan. Oni-chan. Hinata replied. Nah, I thought some of the genin here would love to visit your special playground. Naruto said with a devious smirk. Which was returned by Anko. Oh how sweet, you gave me fresh prey. Anko turned to Ibiki and smiled. Don't worry, by the end of the second stage, the number will be reduced by half. Everyone shivered at Gaara, Hinata, Sasuke, Samui and Naruto. All right, follow me, Anko said, jumping through the window. Naruto walked in front of the window and turned to Ibiki. Do I follow her or break my own window? Your own window, Anko answered before Ibiki could. Naruto chuckled before leaping through another window. Ibiki watched as the rest of the genin slowly got up and left. As he started to collect the test, he looked at Naruto's and frowned. Dear Scarface. The genin, and I use the term very loosely, here who have information only the Hokage should have. His name is Kabuto and he smells like snakes and chemicals. Plus chakra level is the same as Kakashi, yet he flunked the exam 7 times. Weird huh? Anyway, good luck and see ya. A spy huh? Looks like I have a sneaky rat to catch. Better report this to the Hokage. Ibiki thought. Anko was standing in front of the gate of training ground 44, waiting for the genin. She squeaked when she felt a pair of arms wrapped around her. Hey hubby Haim, it seems like we got a few minutes before the others arrive. Really? I got some ideas to pass the time. Anko said, giving him a smirk. Naruto chuckled nervously. Whatever she had planned defiantly involved something. When the rest of the genin arrived, they saw Anko sitting on a tree branch kicking her legs with a familiar-looking jacket on her shoulders happily. Sakura approaches the proctor while looking around. Anko-san. Where is Naruto-kun? Oh, while we were waiting for you guys, I decided to get rid of some pent-up energy. Foxy-kun is in the tent. Naruto, you can come out. I also have your jacket. No wonder I couldn't find it. Naruto walked out and all the girls blushed. He was wearing a fishnet shirt, so everyone could see his abs and muscles. Sakura noticed something about Naruto. Naruto, what's that on your, is that a hickey? Sakura asked, blushing. That's an Anko mark. It means when Naruto-kun's virginity is mine when he's ready. All you other girls wait your turn. Anko said. Everyone blushed but some of the girls seethed in jealousy. Now enough with Naruto's hot bod. Now welcome to the forest of death. Your objective is to guard a scroll that'll have heaven and earth on it. Your objective is to take the scroll you don't have from a team that has the needed scroll and make it to the tower in the middle. But there's a lot of dangerous creatures lurking in this forest. Sounds fun. Naruto commented. Anko smirked and threw a kunai at Naruto. Naruto smirked and caught it between his teeth. Anko disappeared and appeared behind him. Yo survive, you have to be fast like Foxy-kun here. Anko said, hugging Naruto from behind and slowly sliding her hands up his chest and reaching towards the kunai between teeth. She cut his cheek and licked some of the blood. Some of the genin shivered at the creepiness. Never get tired of the taste. Naruto chuckled but his danger senses went off. He pulled Anko into his arms, causing her to blush and pulled out his sword and pointed at a Kusa genin. Sorry, I was just returning your kunai. The sight of blood excites me. The Kusa nin said. Anko separated herself from Naruto and smirked at the genin. Thank you but be careful, if you do that again, you might die. The nin nodded and walked off. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the nin. Kit, the nin is not a genin, the smell of snakes is stronger on her more than your mate. Plus her chakra level is on par with the pervert. There's only one person we both know who fits that description. Kurama said. Naruto's eyes widened. Why is he here? Naruto went to collect the scroll but while he was in the tent he made 3 clones who shishin away. Naruto approached his team. Sakura was giggling at Naruto. It seems you and Anko-san put on a show. Sakura teased but when she saw Naruto's face she got worried. What's the matter? We have trouble. Remember the Kusa nin I almost attacked? Sakura nodded. Sasuke didn't show it, but he was listening. She is just as strong as a cage and her chakra is evil. Sasuke and Sakura's eyes widened at this. If you run into her or the Sand team, don't fight them. You will die. Kurama, what are our chances if we use that? Better, I admit, but you still lack experience. While you could survive, it'll be hard to fight while protecting your teammates. But if you use that, you will be on par with the pervert in terms of strength. Still, you would only be able to hold that form for 10 minutes. I hate to admit this, but you should have learned Sage Mode from your grandfather, the fox said. Naruto nodded. All right, now that everyone has signed the waivers. Remember, make it to the tower in 5 days and show the world what you can do. Just one more piece of advice, just don't die. Especially you, Naruto-kun. What am I saying? Naruto-kun is stronger than me. He has this. I feel sorry for anyone who would pick on him. Naruto was leading his team through the forest and landed on the ground. Okay, time to plan out a strategy. I'll hold the scroll and seal it in my arm. Also, just in case someone tries to henge into us, I'll mark us with a seal. Stick out your arms. Sakura nodded and did as instructed, but Sasuke refused. We don't need the seal, I'll be able to see through a henge with my Sharingan. Naruto didn't feel like arguing and placed a seal on himself. Fine, before we continue, we should plan our next move. We shouldn't blindly search for a team to fight Sasuke, especially since we're going to be targeted. Sakura gave Naruto a confusing look. Why do you say that, Naruto-kun? Because we have the last Uchiha on our team and some people still think I'm a dead last idiot. A Cyclops, a perverted Mudden Uchiha sneezed. Bless you, Tem. Anyway, all we have to do. Naruto paused and turned to Sakura and nodded. Sakura saw this and returned it. I have to go take a leak, excuse me. Naruto walked behind a tree while Sakura and Sasuke just sat near a tree. 10 minutes later, Naruto walked from behind. Man, sorry I took so long, guys. Tisk, can we get a move on? Sasuke said impatiently. Sakura narrowed her eyes while channeling chakra into the seal. She slowly approached Naruto, which confused him. Naruto-kun, where's your sword? Sakura asked, pretending to look worried. It seems I left it behind the tree, Sakura. Naruto said. Sakura narrowed her eyes and sent a kick between his legs, causing Naruto to scream and Sasuke to wince. Thanks for confirming you're an imposter. Naruto-kun calls me Sakura-chan, and Naruto wouldn't ever forget his sword. Sakura said, causing Naruto to dehenge to aim nin, who passed out from the kick. 2 more aim drop from above with Naruto following behind. Great job, Sakura-chan, you know me well. Naruto said, giving the pinkett a foxy grin. Sakura blushed. And guess what? We have the scroll we need. We can head to the tower. What, but I need a challenge. I didn't get to do anything. Sasuke complained. He wanted to test his training, but he was outdone by his 2 loser teammates. Too bad, Tem. But this exam is not just meant for fighting. We have to show the world that we are Chunin. Get down. Naruto yelled before getting blown away by a gust of wind. Naruto-kun, Sakura called, seeing the blonde be blown deeper into the forest. Kukuku, I've finally found you. Now shall we play a little? Said a Kusa nin who appeared on a tree branch. Sakura eyed the Kusa nin. This is the nin Naruto-kun said to avoid. She feels evil and killer intent as in humans. Sakura thought, shaking in fear. Sasuke was shaking more than Sakura. I didn't think the Dobi was serious. We don't stand a chance. I feel like I'm suffocating just being near her. Damn, where did that wind come from? Naruto thought, rubbing his head. When Naruto stood up and looked ahead, there was a tree-sized snake looking down at him. Great, a snake, What a minute, there's only 2 people I know that used snakes. Damn it, he's here. Naruto said, putting his hand on the hilt of his sword. The snake lunged forward towards the blonde, but Naruto disappeared, then reappeared behind the snake. The snake paused for a moment before splitting in half, killing it in the process. Now to find Sakura-chan. Well, if it isn't my lucky day. I get to kill the backstabbing bastard spawn. Naruto looked up and saw Kuretsuchi standing there with a familiar-looking blade. Sorry cutie, but your time is up. Don't you want to know what kind of scroll I have? Naruto asked. Kuretsuchi snorted. Like I care, I'm just here to end your life. But why? Is it because Iwa and Konoha hated relationship? Naruto said, standing up and putting a hand on the hilt of his sword. Kuretsuchi jumped down, sword in hand, across Naruto. Not at all. In fact, Ji-san was going to try and form an alliance with your Hokage. This is personnel. Naruto looked confused more than ever. Personnel? I've never seen you in my life. True, but your father, the Yondaime, killed my mother. Naruto's eyes widened. Kuretsuchi charged forward and did a downward slash towards the blonde. Naruto unsheathed his sword and blocked it. But it was a war. People were just doing their duty. Naruto said, pushing Kuretsuchi back and leaping in the air. He sheathed his sword and went through a few hand signs. Suiton. Suihachi. Naruto put his palm forward and shot a stream of water towards the Iwa Nin. Kuretsuchi quickly sheathed and went through her own hand signs. Doden Doryuden. A dragon head formed on the ground and shot mud bullets towards Naruto, overpowering his jutsu. Naruto unsheathed his sword and channeled wind chakra in his blade. Shitsuyona K's no Ha, Naruto called, before slicing through the bullets and heading towards Kuretsuchi. Kuretsuchi brought out her sword to block Naruto's. Your father didn't kill her in the war. My grandfather and the Sandaime set up an agreement to unite the 2 villages, and the Yondaime along with 2 other nins met my mother's squad to retrieve the scroll. But after that mission, my mother never returned. We found her teammate's body between the meeting place and Iwa, but my mother's body was gone. On their bodies, we did find a certain headband. Naruto's eyes widened then narrowed. So no one seen the deed. You are just trying to kill me off a pointless grudge. Kuretsuchi seethed. Like you understand, maybe if Iwa took something from you. Naruto's eyes hardened. Actually, they did, Naruto said, swinging his sword, pushing the kunoichi back. Iwa, alongside Kumo and Aim, destroyed my clan out of fear. 3 villages killed my ancestor because they were scared of what could become a threat. But do you see me hunting you or your team down? No, but you have the gall to blame me for the actions of another. Kuretsuchi flinched a bit. She could have retorted and said she wasn't born yet, but technically, Naruto wasn't either. That was war, this was betrayal. Kuretsuchi shouted back. We could have been allies, but you demon filth of a father betrayed us. Kuretsuchi continued as she went through a few hand signs. And now you die, Yoden. Sekaigyo no Jutsu. Sasuke jumped out of the way as a snake charged at him. He turned to Sakura and saw her retreat behind a tree. Kukuku, what's the matter, Sasuke? I thought you would be better than this. I have to say I'm disappointed. Sasuke landed on a branch above the Sannin. What of it? Why are you even after me? I wanted to see the power of the Uchiha clan in action. But I guess I overestimated you. Seems you will never be a match for Itachi. Orochimaru said. Sasuke fear left and was replaced with unrivaled rage. Just one more push. Maybe I should offer your friend Naruto the power I have to kill Itachi. Sasuke activated his Sharingan and charged the snake Sannin. No, Sasuke, it's a trap. Naruto was running through the trees, dodging the Yoden attacks. He grabbed a branch above him and spun. Using the momental, he zoomed towards the Iwa Kunoichi. Kuretsuchi brought her arms up to block the incoming punch Naruto threw at her. She grabbed Naruto's wrist and pulled him towards her. She then went for a knee attack, but Naruto used his other hand and grabbed her knee and used it as a floor, leaping away from his opponent. Naruto made 2 clones and hinged them into a windmill shuriken. He threw them towards the Iwa Kunoichi. You have to do better than that. Kuretsuchi taunted, preparing to dodge. Fine. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. The windmill shurikens multiplied to 50. Kuretsuchi had to admit she was impressed. She dodged the first one, but to her surprise, when one of the shurikens hit the ground, it exploded. He mixed hinged with exploding clones and multiplied them. Kuretsuchi thought in amazement. If she was honest, he would be the perfect guy for her. He was strong, tactful, hot as hell and brave. But too bad he was the son of the Yondaime. She shuriken was raining down on them, causing a huge amount of explosion, but unknown to Kuretsuchi, Naruto was holding back. Naruto landed across the field from the Iwa Kunoichi. Kuretsuchi covered her fist with rocks and charged the blonde. Naruto surrounded his fist with a swirl of concentrated wind and charged the Kunoichi, meeting her halfway. Both their fists collided, creating a small explosion, sending them both flying back. Naruto got up first and saw Kuretsuchi struggling to get up. It doesn't make sense. From what I learn about Yondaime, he wasn't the type to betray. Plus, who would willingly leave behind their headband? Danzo. Both turned to Orochimaru when he spoke. I remember that day, my sensei and Onoki decided to form an alliance and settled on an agreement. And a very interesting one too. But Danzo couldn't allow it. If the agreement was settled, Danzo would have had a harder time becoming Hokage, so he sent his root agents to deal with the Iwa Nin. Who are you? And why do you smell like a snake? You were the one who sent that snake at me, weren't you? Naruto asked. Very perceptive of you, Naruto-kun. As for my name, I'm Orochimaru. Naruto's eyes widened and his teeth gritted. You were the one who caused Anko-chan all her pain. Naruto said, his eyes turning slit gold. Orochimaru smirked. Oh, how he would like to test the Jinchuriki, but he had other plans. Hold up. I want you to continue talking about my mother. Kuretsuchi demanded. Orochimaru eyed the girl, analyzing her and smirked. Ah, the Tsuchikage granddaughter. Interesting. Orochimaru pulled out a scroll and tossed it towards the Iwa Kunoichi. Kuretsuchi caught it and opened it. She started to tear up and blush a bit. She then glared at the snake Sanin. Why are you giving this to me? Because, my dear, I want you to have at least a little comfort when I kill you. Orochimaru said, releasing some ki. Kuretsuchi froze up in fear. The Sanin felt as strong as her grandfather. Just imagine, the son of the Yondaime, killing the granddaughter of the Tsuchikage. You foolish grandfather will certainly help me kill the old man. But rejoice, at least you'll be useful to my cause and I'll give you another gift. Orochimaru said before reaching for his face and ripping it off. Kuretsuchi's eyes widened. Keika-chan. Orochimaru was wearing the face of an older Kuretsuchi with longer hair. No dear, it's me, Orochimaru, this one was quite the fighter. She begged me to spare your village and in return she would give me her body. It's too bad, I was hoping she would have one of your village's Kekkei Genkei, but it was all for naught, Kukuku. But I must say her physical strength is remarkable. Kuretsuchi fell to her knees and started to cry. Naruto looked at the girl in sympathy and gritted his teeth. You scumbag, how dare you toy with other people's feelings? People are not your plaything. Naruto's eyes turned gold for a brief moment. Wait. Naruto halted for a moment when a blur launched towards the snake Sanin. Is she going to be okay? Kuretsuchi asked Naruto as they left the battlefield of the 2 legendary Sanin. Yeah, Ba-chan is strong. She will not die so easily. Ever since I met her, she has been training non-stop. Naruto answered with confidence. What do you mean? Since you met her. Didn't you grow up with her? Kuretsuchi asked, jumping on trees next to Naruto. No, apparently the council told her I was dead so they could tell me into a weapon. She left the village a long time ago after her fiancé and brother died in a war. She was on her way back to the village when I was born, but she was lied to. Naruto said. I see, it's because you're a Jinchuriki. Kuretsuchi said. Naruto's eyes widened and looked at her. She gave Naruto a confusing look and giggled. I see, no one's supposed to know. Don't worry, the only reason I know is because my teammate is one and he was treated differently. I know the difference. Kuretsuchi reassured. Thank you. You know, without the whole trying to kill me thing, you are pretty awesome. Naruto complimented. Kuretsuchi blushed. Thanks, you're not bad. I'm glad I don't have to kill someone as handsome as you. My conscience wouldn't be able to take it. Kuretsuchi said, moving a bang of hair behind her ear. Same, I wouldn't want to kill someone as pretty as you. Naruto said, return the compliment. They both landed on a tree after a few more minutes of jumping and stood in front of each other. Listen, sorry about how I acted. I let my anger take over. I rarely knew my mom, and when she died, I felt like I lost everything. And she paused when she felt Naruto embrace her in a hug. It's okay, I understand. If I lost someone I cared about, I would probably do the same. Kuretsuchi didn't say anything and just nodded in Naruto's chest. Naruto pulled back and gave her his foxy grin. But we're cool now, so everything is cool now. Maybe we could hang out after this. I know a good ramen stand that tastes like the food of the gods. Kuretsuchi gave him a smile in return. Sure, and once again, she approached the blonde and kissed the corner of his lip, making him blush. Thanks, you're pretty cool yourself. I have to get to my team. So see you at the tower. Kuretsuchi said before jumping away. Bye. Naruto said in the daze. Snap out of it. I'm happy you got another hottie, but you gotta get back to your team. Kuruma said. Naruto snapped out of it and leapt away. Sakura was under a tree, taking care of Sasuke. She just encountered the snake Sannin after being separated from Naruto. Sasuke was guided into fighting him by some taunts, and now he was unconscious from the snake Sannin biting him on the neck, giving him a mark. Naruto-kun, where are you? Soon she heard rustling in the trees. She acted like she didn't hear it. I guess it's time to put the training to the test, she thought, going through some hand signs. So this is where she was. What happened to Sasuke Uchiha? Dosu asked, watching Sakura taking care of the raven head. Who cares? Our mission is to eliminate him. If the girl wants to get in the way, it's her funeral. Zaku said. Still, we should proceed with caution, remembering what happened before the exam. She's pretty strong, Kin said. She noticed the genjutsu Sakura placed. Shut up. I don't need you to remind me. I'll make that bitch pay. She and her two friends gang up on me. I can take her alone. Zaku said, remembering the headlock he was in. Are you sure about that? The T-male Oto Nin snapped their heads towards Sakura, who appeared above them. Sakura threw a punch towards Zaku, who blocked it with his arms, but his bones cracked and he was sent flying through a couple trees. Dosu swiped at her with his gauntlet, causing a sound to erupt from the gauntlet. Dosu was surprised when Sakura kawarimi with a log, destroying it in the process. Sakura appeared behind him and roundhouse kicked him towards the ground. Sakura breathed a bit and turned to Kin with a confused look. Kin noticed the look Sakura gave. What? Aren't you going to attack me? Sakura asked. No, I never wanted to do this. I was hoping your handsome teammate was here so I could ask him to watch out. Kin warned before Dosu appeared behind them and punched Sakura in the stomach, following up with a kick sending Sakura back towards the ground. Dosu then grabbed Kin by the throat. What are you doing, traitor? Helping her. They are our targets. Dosu said. Fu. CK. I never liked you or that so-called village, you always treated me like shit. Why should I give a damn about you? Kin retorted. Fine. Dosu threw Kin next to Sakura. We'll find a replacement. Zaku. Right. Prepare to die, bitches. Zaku said, jumping in the opening, arms extended. Zenkaha. Zaku, a blast of sound waves towards the kunoichis. Surezu. EBU. Sakura was about to go through some hand seals when a red blur ran past her and sliced the attack, splitting it in multiple directions. Sakura and Kin covered their eyes for a moment to avoid the dust. When they opened it, there were two kunoichis in front of them. One had short red hair, with a mesh shirt and stockings, a purple skirt, a light brown short-sleeved jacket with an orange stripe going across the chest and black sandals. She had a Nadeshiko headband. The other had black hair in a ponytail with green eyes and with a gray kunoichi uniform and gray gloves with a skirt to match. Are you two alright? Yeah, thanks for the help, Sakura responded, snapping out of her daze. Shizuka, watch the two. I can handle this, the redhead said, stepping forward. Are you sure, Karen-san? Shizuka asked. Karen turned to her teammate and smiled. I am, and besides, with these two, I won't have to take off my glasses. Shizuka nodded and stepped back. Karen turned to the male Oto Nins, radiating a battle aura. Dosu started to sweat a bit. This girl, her chakra level is high like the blonde from earlier. The way she cut Zaku's attack like nothing, she's not to be underestimated. Why are you here? This has nothing to do with you. Dosu asked. Damn, why is it hard to kill the Uchiha? What's your connection? Zaku yelled in anger. With the Uchiha? Nothing. I don't want you to ruin the chances of Naruto advancing forward until I test him. Karen answered, confusing the Oto Nins. Not to be rude, but why should you care about Naruto-kun? Sakura asked. Karen turned to the Pinkett and smirked. Maybe I should have introduced myself with my full name. My name is Karen Uzumaki. Sakura's jaw dropped. You mean that you and Naruto are from the same clan? And imagine my surprise when I heard the guy with the glasses said he was an Uzumaki. From his chakra level, I knew he was right. Karen answered. Well, too bad you aren't going to meet him because you're dead. Zaku yelled, lifting his arm, preparing another sound attack, but to his surprise, his left arm fell to the ground, severe from his shoulder. Karen was behind him, sheathing her sword back into the hilt. Arg! Zaku screamed in agony, grasping his shoulder. Too slow, Karen commented. Dosu charged forward, swinging his gauntlet. Karen blocked it with the sheath of her sword. Dosu smirked under the mask but was shocked to see Karen fine. How are you? Not affected by the sound waves? Karen finished the question. She looked at the sheath. Dosu followed her gaze towards the sheath and it was glowing yellow. You see, I saw your attack before. So to avoid it, I channeled wind chakra into the sheath, disrupting the sound. And now, Karen's palm glowed yellow and she attacked Dosu's chest, sending him backwards. Dosu collected himself in the air and flipped, sliding on the ground. Dosu looked up and smirked. Take this, bitch. Zaku appeared behind her and pointed his hand towards Karen, prepared to blast her. Zaku muttered before his head landed on the ground. Everyone was confused, until Naruto landed behind Karen back to back. Naruto-kun. Sakura cheered. Naruto turned to her. He gave her a wink and noticed Sasuke was on the ground. He was glad he was alright. Dosu turned to Naruto and was sweating bullets. Kin. Come help me, Dosu ordered desperately, causing the Odo female to scowl. You always abuse me, but now you want my help. I'm not going back to you or our leader. Kin responded. You were abused? Both Uzumakis asked. Kin nodded, then panicked when the chakra of both Uzumakis flared. Naruto memories of a child ran through his mind, as Karen and her mother lived in Kusa before they escaped. They both charged Dosu in the blink of an eye and did a cross slash, killing him. Dosu fell lifeless on the ground. They both looked at the Oto Nin with disgust and swiped the blood off their swords. I hate people who hurt their comrades. And I hate people who abuse others. Karen added. Karen turned to Naruto after sheathing their swords and jumped on him, embracing him in a hug. It's good to meet you at last. What? Naruto asked before being glomped between Karen's s. Not that I don't like it, but why are you doing this? Right. Karen pulled away. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Karen Uzumaki. And we're from the same clan. Naruto's eyes widened. I can't believe me and Ba-chan is not the only one. Wait, there's more. Yeah. You know Tsunade Senju grandmother is part Uzumaki. In fact, she should be done kicking Snake Tem right about now. Naruto said. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Sakura asked. Well, after we were separated, I was attacked by this IWA nin who had it in for my father. She figured out that I was his son just by my looks. When we fought, the Snake Tem arrived and was going to kill her and frame me to provoke a war, but Ba-chan arrived after I sent a clone to get her. Sounds like an experience. For one, I hope she kills him. Kin said. Same. By the way. Who are you? I never got your name. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto asked. I'm Kin Tsuchi and Kukuku. It's like old times, Tsunade Haim. Orochimaru said, staring at her old teammate. Well, if you want it to feel like old times, I can call the pervert. Tsunade responded. Ah, Jiraiya, he was always a fool. Thinking he can surpass us and trying to always bring me back to this pathetic village. Orochimaru said. It's weird to see you call someone a fool, considering you left because you didn't become Hokage. Tsunade retorted. We both know I would have led this village to greatness. How? By turning everyone to your personnel guinea pigs. Making the village into your own laboratory. I think we've talked too much. Orochimaru said. He approached Tsunade at a slow pace. Tsunade narrowed her eyes. What could he be planning? Tsunade decided to meet Orochimaru halfway and charged him. Orochimaru had a sadistic smirk. Always the straightforward approach. Kinda predictable. Orochimaru said as Tsunade was on top of him. He bit his hand and threw some blood on Tsunade, causing her to freeze. Tsunade fell to her knees and started to quiver in fear. Orochimaru stopped right in front of Tsunade. You truly are pathetic, for a medic to be scared of a little blood. We are shinobi, we bathe in it. To think I almost considered you a threat. Tsunade stopped quivering and spoke. You're right, it is pathetic. Orochimaru was shocked at how calmly she spoke, but was even more surprised when she got up and punched him in the face, sending him flying feet away through trees. Orochimaru lifted his head from the branch and stared at the slug Sanin in pain. But how? You really thought I wouldn't have gotten over my fear? I thought you were better than that. Tsunade taunted. Orochimaru climbed out the trunk and snapped his neck in place. I should have known breaking your neck wouldn't be enough. Yes. Orochimaru began, popping his neck back in place. And I should have known you would be rid of your fear of blood. I guess shinobi of our caliber make the simplest mistakes. Orochimaru finished before charging Tsunade at unimaginable speed. Tsunade got on the defense as the snake freak circled her like a prey. You know, Tsunade, I can't let you live. After all, you'll get in the way of my plans. I would ask what your plans are, but since you're going to die, it doesn't really matter. Tsunade responded before blocking a punch from her former teammate. She then went for a kick but Orochimaru back-flipped away. Tsunade ran after him before jumping in the air and diving at him with a kick. Orochimaru's bottom half became snake-like and avoided the kick. You really are a snake, I can't wait to skin you alive. We both know I was the strongest of the Sannin. Orochimaru said before turning his leg to normal. He charged Tsunade, engaging her in a taijutsu match. He was avoiding her attacks while Tsunade was blocking him since it felt like nothing to her. Orochimaru's right arm turned to a snake and wrapped around Tsunade before biting her. Tsunade poof away, surprising Orochimaru until he turned around and saw Tsunade in the air with two slugs on her shoulder. The both spat different color acid towards the snake Sannin, covering him. What is this? I can't move. One of them is sticky acid. It prevents you from moving a muscle and is as strong as me. And the other, Tsunade started going through hand signs that finished in a tiger seal. Is exploding acid. Kaden. Gokaku no Jutsu. Tsunade shot a fireball towards the snake Sannin, creating a huge explosion. She landed on a branch, narrowing her eyes at the fire she created. I know you're alive, come out. I'm not here for games. Kukuku, you are as smart as always, but I'm curious. When did you start learning ninjutsu? Orochimaru asked. You see, when I was training with sensei a few months ago, I realized I lacked range attacks and relied too much on my strength. So I mixed some things up with and learned some ninjutsu when I resumed training with the slugs. But that's not the only thing I learned. Tsunade leapt into the air and covered her foot in lightning, shocking, no pun intended. Orochimaru. Tsunade Raiden. Tsunade slammed her lightning foot on Orochimaru, causing a huge quake. Tsunade leapt back and clicked her teeth. The Tem is still alive, where are you? Tsunade asked after the Orochimaru she clicked turned to mud. Kukuku, you improved. While I would normally like to stay and play some more, we attracted some unwanted guests. So I'll take my leave. Goodbye Tsunade Harem, see you soon. Oh, and don't stop the Chunin exams or I'll burn the leaf to the ground. Orochimaru said before his voice disappeared. Tsunade was trying to sense him but soon gave up after she realized he was gone. Damn, freak. Anko, you can come out now. Anko flinched and came out of hiding. Hey Tsunade-sama. Cut the sama shit. Why are you here? Tsunade asked, folding her arms. Well, I saw the corpse of Orochimaru and came to track him down. I see, so how were you going to beat him if you found him? You know you're no match for him. Tsunade asked. I had a jutsu that would have taken him out but. Anko stated. Let me guess. It'll cost you your life. Tsunade asked. Anko nodded slowly while looking at the ground. Tsunade pinches her temples. You know if you would have done that, I would have lost my head matriarch. I know, I was just so angry at what he did to me. Anko responded. I understand, but you have to realize that there are people who care about you. How do you think Naruto would have felt if he found out you died? Anko's eyes widened. She didn't think of that. Tsunade noticed and shook her head. I'm going to tell him, but your punishment begins now. For 1 whole month. No more Anko, Naruto playtime. Anko grabbed Tsunade's legs and begged. No. Anything but that. Don't take Anko's playtime with Naru-kun. Nope. You can still hug him and kiss him. But that's it. Anko started to cry as they headed out the forest. Team 7 along with Karen team was jumping through the trees towards the tower. It turned out that the Oto Nin had the scroll they needed, and since Naruto still had theirs, they head towards the tower. Kin was with them. So Kin, said the girl, turned to Naruto. How was your life in Oto? Shit. Kin said with disgust. They don't value weaklings or kunoichis. I only joined because the snake promised us we could live in a sanctuary. I just wanted to be a kunoichi with friends, but we were only slaves. When I learned we would be coming here, I planned on leaving. But when I saw how strong you were, I knew at that moment I should ask you for help. Me? Naruto asked. Yes, you defended that little boy from Kabuto and how you passed the second exam. You are a badass, Kin said. I'll say, Naruto-kun actually defended me from Sasuke. Sakura said as she began to tell Kin and Karen about their mission at the bandit camp. Naruto-san. Naruto turned to Shizuka, who was looking nervous. I have something to discuss with you. I'm not sure how you will accept this, but I hope you understand. What? Naruto asked. I'll discuss this with you at the tower. But I hope not to be a burden. Shizuka finished as they headed to the tower. The group made it to the tower. Sasuke was still being carried by Naruto's clone. Once they made it in, they were in an empty room and on the wall was a riddle. If heaven does not exist, enrich your knowledge and prepare for the chance. If earth does not exist, run the field and search for the advantage. Open the series of heaven and earth and the perilous way shall be redressed. This is namely the secret of, the one that guides, Sakura read out loud. What do you suppose this means? Shizuka asked. Well, heaven and earth refers to the scrolls. It also says open the series, so I'm guessing it's okay to open them in this tower and it will guide us to something. Naruto answered. Karen and Naruto opened up their scrolls for their respective team. Uruka appeared from Team 7 and was a red-headed woman. Uruka-sensei, we were attacked by Orochimaru and he did something to Sasuke. Sakura said before Uruka could get a word in. He took Sasuke and carried him to a bedroom in the tower. He stopped and turned to his former students and smiled. I can come along with you. There's something I have to tell the Hokage. Kin added in. Uruka nodded and turned back to his students. I'm proud of you too, you've grown. Sakura, you used to be so fragile, but now I can see how strong you have grown. Naruto, you grew as well, I can tell just by looking at you. You're definitely stronger. You still have 3 more days until the next phase, so rest up and good luck. Uruka said before disappearing. Excuse me. Naruto turned to Karen's sensei, who seemed to be acting nervous. Are you really an Uzumaki? I was informed by my daughter. Naruto's eyes widened. Yes, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. Nice to meet another, I'm Hinoka Uzumaki. Would you be so kind as to tell me your mother's name? Hinoka said. Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto answered. The son of the princess of Uzu and the Red Death. I'm honored. I'm just glad to meet more kin. Naruto responded. Well, we can talk later. Karen and Shizuku, let's leave these two. Hinoka said. Wait, Shizuka, didn't you need to speak to me? Naruto said. Shizuka blushed, remembering what she wanted to talk about. We'll have time later, okay. Shizuka said before walking away with her team. I guess we could go check out our rooms. We have a couple days to relax, Sakura-chan. Naruto said. Sure. I need a shower from that damn forest. Hey, how about you help me bathe? Extra team exercise. Sakura teased. Nah, maybe next time. I'm going to check out the tower and see who else is here. Naruto replied with a blush. I was joking, Naruto-kun. We didn't even have a proper date yet. Sakura said, giggling. You're right. I'll set something up this weekend. Sakura squealed and lunged at Naruto, kissing him on the cheek. You're the best. I'll catch you later. Sakura said, leaving a blushing Naruto in place. Naruto shook it off and chuckled. Naruto started to walk around the tower to see if there were any other competitors. He was pretty sure the Sand team was here, but that was because he knew how strong they were. Hey, there you are. Naruto turned around and saw a blonde Kumo nin smirking at him. I was really excited to meet you. Naruto ed an eyebrow in confusion. Really? Well, I'm Naruto. Yugito, pleasure to meet you Naruto-kun. Yugito responded. Kit, I wasn't able to feel it before but she's a Jinchuriki. Kitten, that hunk of a man is a Jinchuriki just like you. The Biju told their partners. You're a Jinchuriki? Both blondes said at the same time amazed. Wow, you're the second one I met. Naruto said. Really? Who's the other one? Yugito asked. Yeah, I want to know as well. Both blondes turned to see a mint hair girl flying. Nice to meet you Naruto-kun, Yugito-san. My name is Fu and I'm a Jinchuriki as well. I never got to meet others like me. I know, we should all be friends. Yugito and Naruto were surprised yet again. 4 Jinchurikis. Wow, I'm not sure how to feel about this. Naruto thought and remembered what Fu just suggested. Sure Fu-chan, I wouldn't mind being friends. What about you, Yugi-chan? Yugito blushed and smirked. She places her hand on Naruto's cheek, causing him to blush. Sure Naru-kun, if it means I get to know you better. Great. We're all friends now. We should go find the other one you mentioned, Naruto-kun. What's his name again? Gaara. Everyone turns to see the sand nin approaching them, yawning. I never thought sleep felt so good. Yo, Gaara. Did you hear everything we were talking about? Naruto asked. I did and it feels weird to find others like me but I don't sense any hatred coming from any of you. Gaara said. All the others nodded, then Naruto's stomach growled. I guess I'm hungry. How about I show you the best place to eat? Yugito smirked and wrapped her arm around Naruto's. Sure, I'll even allow you to escort me there. Yugito said with a teasing smile. After all, I am a lady. Hearing this, Fu took his other arm and smirked. Right, gentlemen are supposed to escort a lady. Naruto chuckled and began to leave. Are you Naruto? The group turned to an Iwa nin wearing armor with his right hand tucked into his shirt. The man narrowed his eyes at the group before it softened. I'm Hans. I wanted to thank you for saving my teammate, Kuroitsuchi, but I never expected you to be a Jinchuriki and with others. Naruto was about to ask how he knew until he felt the chakra of the man. Naruto started to laugh. Wow, another one. Well, you're welcome. I would have done it for anyone. Han nodded. Anyway, I heard you were about to eat and I'm quite famished myself. Sure you can come. Naruto cut him off. Hans nodded and the group left towards what Naruto would call the food meant for the gods. Ah, this is relaxing. Who knew the tower had a hot spring? Sakura said, relaxing in the water. I'll say, it's quite nice. Sakura opened her eyes and saw Temari with a towel over her body. Mind if I join you? Sure. Temari-san. Was it? That's right, and you're Sakura. The one with the cute blonde for a teammate. Temari said with a sexy smirk, thinking about the blonde. Yeah, Naruto is amazing. Sakura replied. I'm also interested in learning about him, would that be cool? Samui said walking in with Kuratsuchi. Temari and Sakura eyed the girl's chest before having similar thoughts. Big. Temari was proud of her body but Sakura's soul left her body. He's strong, I'll tell you that. I fought him in the forest and gotta say I was impressed. Kuratsuchi sat down in the water. Hey Pinky, is he single? Samui and Temari looked towards Sakura, waiting for an answer. Depends on how you look at it. Sakura said, confusing the other three. Naruto is in the CRA for being part of 2 clans but the proctor from the second exam determines who gets a chance. Naruto-kun decision. I see, I guess I'll talk to her later. Hopefully she'll be cool with it. Samui said, sitting right next to Sakura. Now tell me about him. Samui insisted. Well, for one, he values everyone he cares about. He even saved my life one time when we went on a mission. Sakura began to explain. Welcome to Ichiraku's ramen, where the food meant for the gods is created. Naruto said. The Jinchurikis smelled the aroma and started to drool. They each took a seat waiting for Tuki. Hey old man, you got some hungry customers. Naruto. Wow, you brought me new customers. Now what can I get you? Hey, Miss Two, mind if I join you? Everyone turns to see B smiling. This food smells so fine must be mine. Fine but stop the rapping. Yugito responded. B nodded and sat between Naruto and Fu. Now, what can I get you? 1 bowl of miso ramen. 2 bowls of shrimp ramen. 5 bowls of vegetable ramen. 7 bowls of chicken ramen. 8 bowls of pork ramen. 9 bowls of the Naruto special. All the Jinchuriki answered. Tuki was doing an impression of a fish before his eyes had dollar signs in them. Wow, Naruto-kun really took a slash for you, even though, excuse my language, a bitch to him. Kuretsuchi said. Sakura looked down in shame. It wasn't my proudest moment. Sasuke is talented, but he has a black hole for a heart. I'll say. He's cute, but Naruto has the confidence in him that you would want in a man. Tamari said. And to use his strength for others is honorable and cool. You said his sword was a blur when he killed those sound nin. I need to know more, but I also want to fight him for myself. Samui said, rubbing her shoulders. Same here. Hi everyone, mind if we join you? Karen and Shizuka walked in. Karen sat next to Samui and Shizuka sat on the other side. Naruto-kun was impressive when we fought those sound nin. I can also tell he was holding back. He's definitely one of the few we should be wary about in this exam. Shizuka said. Karen, if you were to rank us against him, how would our chances be since you're a censor and you saw him fight? Karen closed her eyes. Well, you and Samui-san might have 40–45% chance, but I haven't seen Samui fight. I'm just going by knowledge by Cloud Nin fighting style. Tamari-san uses a fan, and from what I've seen Naruto do, I'll say Tamari-san has 20% unless she has something hidden. Kuretsuchi-san. Don't say it. Everyone turned to the Iwa Nin. I fought him. He's a clever one. The whole time he was fighting me, he defended himself, but I could tell he had potential to kill me. When he got mad at the snake that showed up, I felt his ki rising and his chakra was amazing. I'll say my chance is the same as Samui. Karen nodded before continuing. I'll say my chance is 50%. And before you say anything, I'm not being arrogant. We're from the same clan. Our chakra level matches and style might not be so different. I know myself well. I'm not saying no one is weak, but I'm not certain who would win. Everyone stands a chance, it just depends on how the cards are played. 3 days later, all the genin that managed to get both scrolls was lined up with the Jonin sensei, the examiners and the Hokage. Naruto and Karen were eyeing Sasuke. His chakra felt darker than normal. Most of the females were eyeing Naruto with lust, while some of the men wanted to fight him. Few believed he was a dead last, while others wanted a challenge. What was weird was that there was a few extra people here like Tsunade and Shizune. Welcome and congratulations on passing the second stage. Now turn your attention to the Hokage. Anko said, stepping back. Allow me to explain the exam's true purpose. This exam is to show the village's true potential to the world. If the village shows strength, we receive more missions. We also use these exams to create new relationships with potential allies and form alliances, as well as showing our strength to our enemies, keeping them from attacking. Sandame-sama, I'll explain the next part of the exam. Hayate said, stepping forward. The next stage will be 1 versus 1. Originally, we were going to give you a month, but we didn't suspect many of you to pass, so we will eliminate some of you with a preliminary round. Daimyo and other important people will arrive, so only the strong will be allowed to move on. Hayate said before coughing a bit. Now before we start, could those who feel well or anyone not up to it, feel free to drop out. We will begin the match immediately after. I give up, Kabuto said, raising his hand. Naruto, Karen and Yugito narrowed their eyes at him suspiciously. They figured he was up to something since his chakra level was still high and he didn't have a scratch on him. Alongside Kabuto, Fu's two teammates gave up as well and left. Alright, now pay attention to the board. Everyone who doesn't see their name, please move to the balcony. Hayate instructed. Everyone waited to see who would be the first to fight. When the names appeared, Naruto smirked and turned to his fellow Uzumaki, who was smiling. Everyone headed to the balcony except Karen and Han. Naruto leaned on the rail and Yugao stood behind him, arms folded. Kakashi stood next to her with Sasuke in front of him. Sakura stood between her two male teammates but closer to the blonde. Kakashi turned to Yugao with a confused gaze. Aren't you going to stand next to Tenten? Yugao didn't look at him because she was focused on Karen's sword. Why would I do that? Well, she's your student, isn't she? Tenten overheard the conversation, and looked at the Cyclops Jonin. What? I don't know her. Kakashi's eyes widened and turned to Yugao, narrowing his eyes. Where is your student? Did they make it? He turned to Karen and came up with a conclusion. I see, it's her. Not sure how you trained someone from another village, but I look forward to seeing her fare against Sasuke. Are we late? Everyone turned to Tsunade and Shizune walking in, Tsunade standing between Kakashi and Yugao behind Sakura. Shizune gave Naruto a wink and stood behind Ino, who was standing on Naruto's right side. Tsunade-sama, when did you get here? A few months ago. I see, so why are you here? I doubt you're interested in seeing Genin fight. I wanted to see my student perform. Tsunade answered. And before you answer, I'm not telling you. Tsunade turned to see Anko walking behind Hinata but eyeing her nervously. By the way, Naru-chan, I have something to tell you later about what Anko did. Huh, alright, Naruto said, turning to the snake mistress, who looked nervous. Karen and Han stood across from each other, while Hayate was between them. Now the first match of the Chunin exam will begin. The match is over when one of you forfeit or I say it's over, you may begin. Karen smirked. I can tell you're strong. From what I can see, you have that furnace on your back that connects to your armor. Does it heat it to a certain degree, make you hot to touch? Good analysis, but I doubt just looking at me gave you that assumption. Han responded. You would be correct. I can sense chakra and the type of chakra of an individual. You feel hot and wet. Boil, release, and also, I see. I'm fighting two opponents, Karen said, narrowing her eyes. Han smirked under his mask. I see, you know my secret. But you don't seem worried. True, but against an opponent like you. Karen took off her glasses and grabbed the hilt of the sword. I might have to try a little harder. Sasuke scoffed and narrowed his eyes. That's stupid. Why did she take off her glasses? She put herself at a disadvantage and now she can't see. Sasuke said, thinking he knew everything. Samui, Shizuka, Kuratsuchi and Kin looked at him disappointedly like they knew something. Is that what you think? Sasuke turned to Yugao. Because you would be wrong. And who are you? Yugao narrowed her eyes at the Uchiha and turned to Kakashi. Senpai, you need to teach your students some respect. Kakashi shrugged his shoulders. What did you mean by that, Yugao-sensei? Sakura asked. Naruto-kun, why don't you answer? Yugao said. I doubt Naruto would know if Sasuke didn't. Kakashi said, downplaying his student. Reverse sight. Naruto answered. She got rid of her eyesight and increased her other senses. I assume mostly her touch and hearing. Along with her sensing abilities, she most likely has 360-degree vision. She's aware of everything and everyone in this room. Please, like you, know anything dead last. You probably made all that up. Kiba said, arrogantly. Kurenai-san, you need to teach your students some respect. Yugao said before turning to Kiba. And you and Izuka, you need to stop trying to make Naruto look like a fool. Well, he is the dealast. Kiba retorted but flinched when Yugao glared at him. Really? Because it's funny how he got the right answer. Yugao said, surprising Kakashi, Sasuke and Kiba. How did you know that, Naruto-kun? Ino asked. Because, I know the technique but with different conditions. Naruto answered. Naruto don't lie. Hush. Hatake-tem, the match is about to start. Naruto said, cutting Kakashi off. Karen charged Han with a horizontal slash from her sword but Han blocked it with his armor. Han armor started to heat up causing the temperature around him to rise. Carrie jumped back to gain some distance, but Han chased after her and went in for a punch. Karen steps out of the way and Han hits the ground, creating a crater. You have a lot of physical power. Karen said before charging Han with blinding speed. And you are fast, I'm impressed. Han responded, while defending himself from multiple sword slash with his. Han grabbed her sword and went in for a punch with his other hand. Karen grabbed her sheath and surrounded it with wind chakra, using it to block the attack, breaking the hand part of the armor, surprising the Jinchuriki. She then thrust it forward, breaking his chest plate, revealing his seal. Han eyes widen and jump back. What happened, Han? The match is not over. Karen said before going through some hand signs. Resenpu. Karen shot a powerful wind attack towards. Not happening. Yubiki Horyu Jutsu. Han shot a wave of boiling water through his mask, colliding with Han's attack. Karen smiled and went and did a different hand sign. To the surprise of everyone, Han's boiling water started turning to ice. That's just like Haku. Naruto commented. I guess you didn't know. Naruto turned to see Honka approaching him. My husband was from the Yuki clan. I settled in Kiri before the war broke out. My husband stayed behind when we were being hunted by Hunter Nin. Although I told her to hide it. I see. Thanks for the info, Nei-chan. Naruto said. Hinoka chuckled and patted Naruto's head. You really are adorable. Nei-san, huh, I always wanted a little brother. Hinoka responded. Excuse me, but who are you? Kakashi asked. Honaka turned to the one-eyed Jonin. Hinoka Uzumaki, Karen's sensei and mother. Kakashi's eyes widened before smiling. Nice to meet you, I'm Kakashi Hatake. Naruto's sensei. Only in name. Naruto commented, while watching the match. Hinoka saw the slight anger in Naruto and decided to ask him later. It seems your abilities counter mine. Han commented. Soon a red cloak started to surround his body. I guess, I'll get a little more serious. He had a red horse-like cloak with 3 tails. I see, well I guess I should respond in kind. Karen said, sheathing her sword. She then turns to Naruto. Naruto-kun, I want you to pay attention to one of our clan's high-level techniques. Karen was surrounded by a huge dark blue sphere of chakra. I am not sure what you are doing, but that's an impressive amount of chakra. Han commented. I'm surprised you're not attacking me, may I ask why? I'm interested in your clan's technique and it'll be rude to attack you without seeing all you can do. I see, well I must thank you. Karen replied as the chakra around her started to move faster. I don't get it. What is that girl talking about? That idiot Naruto isn't from a clan. And there is no such thing as the Uzumaki clan. He's just a clanless, Kiba said. He then froze when he felt killer intent from Naruto, Karen, Hinoka and Tsunade. You should know when to shut your mouth. Tsunade scolded. Sakura, explain to Kiba about the Uzumaki clan since he is ignorant. Hi, The Uzumaki clan were shinobi from a small village in the land of Whirlpool. They have abnormal chakra levels and are masters of fuinjutsu, kenjutsu and chakra manipulation. They also had a long lifespan and had the possibility of producing multiple bloodlines. Sakura said, earning a nod from Tsunade. Well, they must be weak because I never heard of them. Kiba said, I see Sakura forgot to mention that they're cousins to the Senju clan, which is my clan, and also my grandmother was a Uzumaki. Tsunade said, earning a gulp from Kiba. And they're not weak. After all, it took Kumo, Aim and Iwa to take down their small village and they lost 80% of their force. There's no way the Dobi is from a clan that's strong. Kiba said, can you shut up and watch the match? Naruto said, irritated by Kiba's insult. Karen started to inhale the chakra surrounding her and steam was produced from her body. Her body started to glow a pinkish color. Then her body started to glow blue on the outline of her body. Naruto narrowed his eyes and turned to Hinata. Hinata-chan, can you use your Byakugan to see what her chakra is doing in her body? Of course Naruto-kun. Byakugan. Hinata had veins around her eyes and looked at Karen. Her chakra is circulating through her body. Also her chakra limiter is open but somehow it's not tearing up her body. The speed of the chakra circulating is fast and heating up her body and infusing in her blood cells and muscles. I see, she is pushing her body to her physical limit and thanks to being a Uzumaki, her body seems to withstand the pressure for now. Naruto commented. Correct. That's why Uzumaki can handle it. In the past, I heard someone outside our clan attempted the technique and their muscles were torn to shreds. Hinoka said. Sasuke seethed. Damn, but my power is stronger. Still wish I could copy their jutsu for myself. The rubble started to rise in the air as the air became denser around the two. Karen unsheathed her sword and held it in her right hand and her sheath in her left. No, I'm ready. Thanks for waiting, but you will regret it. We'll see. Han responded before they both disappeared in a blur. Soon you could feel shockwaves around and streams of blue and red jumping back and forth, clashing with each other. What? How are they moving this fast? Ino questioned. Not sure, but I'm glad I'm not fighting them. Choji said. I don't know about that. I would love to fight them. Pretty cool. Naruto commented. Please, you can't beat anyone here dead last. Kiba said with a expression. Wow, do you get turned on by insulting me or something? Maybe it's because you can't get a girlfriend. Naruto commented. Kiba fumed with anger. Like you can. No girl will ever like a loser. When Sakura heard this, she looked at Ino, who was looking at her. They smirked and both nodded at each other. Both formal fangirls walked towards the blonde Uzumaki and kissed his cheek and turned to the match like nothing happened. Kiba was mimicking a fish. Naruto notices and smirks. You were saying. Karen appeared out of nowhere and began to dodge multiple chakra claws trying to grab her, but she kept slashing at them. Once she caught sight of the Jinchuriki, she made some ice shuriken and threw it at him. Han dodged it with ease and runs towards the Uzumaki. His enhanced fist meets her wind blade, causing her explosion. Futon. Kudan. Karen chanted as she slid back and shot air pressure bullets at Han. Karen drops her sword and runs towards Han, with her body surrounded by wind chakra. They began trading blow for blow. Destroying the floor. Karen palmed Han's helmet, destroying it. She then roundhouse kicked him, sending him to a wall. Han used his chakra to stick to the wall and jumped back to Karen. He grabbed her head and dragged her through the ground before tossing her towards the ceiling. I'm impressed that the girl can fight like this against a Jinchuriki. She's very skilled. Yugao said. I'll say, pretty cool. I would love to fight her. Samui added. What do you think, Gaara? Tamari asked her brother. She will be a problem for us. Han has the 5 tail, So if she can fight him like this, I might have a problem. Plus she uses wind and water jutsu. She's strong, but I'm interested in Naruto. Gaara answered. That makes two of us. But for different reasons. Tamari said. I'm surprised Han is having a hard time with her. Kuratsuchi said. She could honestly say Han could beat her in a fight, but Karen was matching him. I'm not sure what to think. Akatsuchi said. Sweden no jutsu. Karen shot water bullets towards Han. Han ran through it like nothing, but he didn't notice Karen took out a seal tag. Once Han was in range, chakra chains erupted from Karen's body and wrapped around Han, pulling him forward. What? Was all Han could say when his Biju chakra was receding in his body. Karen met him halfway and placed a suppressing seal tag on his stomach. Han's eyes widened before he passed out. Karen grabbed him and sat him down gently. Hayate approached the two before raising his hand towards Karen. Han is unable to continue. Karen Uzumaki is the winner. Karen nodded and put on her glasses before walking up the stairs to Shizuka and Hinoka. She saw Naruto and smirked. So, what did you think? Naruto returned the smirk with a cheesy smile. That was impressive. I can tell you worked hard and to fight someone like Han. Naruto-kun is right, you did well. Hinoka commented. Great work Karen-san. Shizuka said. Naruto-kun. The group turned to Sakura and saw her pointing at the screen. Naruto's eyes widened. It was his turn to fight, but who his opponent was, took him by surprise. Naruto Uzumaki vs Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto turned to Sasuke and saw him giving him an evil smirk. Hiruzen turned to the two and sighed. In the event when two teammates are matched against each other, it would be up to them if they want to fight and they will not be disqualified. But if they do fight, the same rules as the other fights will apply. I'll let the team decide. Naruto said calmly. Of course we fight. We both know you've been itching to fight me for a while. Sasuke said. You're wrong. I used to want to fight you when you were a friend, but you change. Now you're just another opponent I have to get past. Naruto said. Naruto, you are not ready to face Sasuke. You should forfeit and try again next year. Kakashi said. Naruto ignored him. Naruto-kun. Naruto turned to Yugao. It's time. Show everyone what you can do. You can and will beat him. You have something he doesn't drive, something to protect and support. Yugao. Don't encourage him. He will get hurt. Kakashi said. Naruto took out his sword and handed it to Yugao. Can you hold this for me? Yugao nodded and took his sword. Naruto jumped down and soon Sasuke followed. Ah man, Naruto was the one opponent I wanted to fight. Choji said while eating some chips. Damn, it looks like Sasuke is going to move forward. There's no way that loser can beat the rookie of the year. Kiba said. Please, you two can't beat Naruto-kun. Ino said, surprising Choji and Kiba. How can you say that? Naruto was the dead last in the academy. Kiba said. Because that was the academy. The group turns to Sakura. What happened in the academy doesn't matter, especially since it was about a year ago. Training exists for a reason and Naruto-kun has beaten two Jonin-level opponents since then. Haku and Kiska, my OC. So don't think because he was the dead last in the academy, he will remain the weakest forever. Why are you two defending him and not cheering for Sasuke? Sasuke. Both Sakura and Ino said, surprising most people who knew they were his fangirls. Now Naruto, are you ready to face the power of the Uchiha? Sasuke asked, grinning with excitement. No, Naruto answered, confusing everyone. Because I already know how to make your Sharingan useless. Now this surprised everyone except Yugao, Karen, Tsunade and Hinoka. What are you talking about? Sasuke asked in rage. There's nothing stronger than Sharingan. Even if you could, why tell me? Because there's nothing you could do to stop me. Naruto answered calmly. Now if you two are done talking, you may begin. Naruto adopted the Senju Forest dance stance. Sasuke entered his interceptor stance but didn't activate his Sharingan. Now, come, Sasuke yelled. But Naruto didn't move, he just stood there calmly and patiently. Sasuke was seething when Naruto didn't respond because for his taijutsu to work, Naruto had to make the first move. Didn't you hear me? Naruto just stood there, one palm forward and one above his head. Good kid, he's getting aggravated. He will make the first move. There's no problem waiting for your prey. Naruto nodded and proceeded to wait for Sasuke. Fine, if you want to do anything. Sasuke said, going through hand signs. I will fire style. Fireball jutsu. Sasuke shot a fireball towards Naruto. As expected, Naruto said, holding his right palm towards the fireball. On his palm, it had the kanji, fire, and when the jutsu landed on Naruto's palm, it went into the seal. Sasuke's eyes widened and he seethed. What happened to my jutsu? Naruto just stared at him. We're fighting, why would I tell you? Sasuke gritted his teeth and activated his dojutsu. When Naruto saw this, he began going through hand signs at a blinding speed. Karen and Hinoka smiled. I see, so he does know that jutsu. I figure, but I'm surprised the Uchiha would activate it after Naruto-kun warned him. Karen said, that's not possible. After all, I didn't teach Naruto any jutsu to stop the Sharingan. Kakashi said, well, he must have had a different teacher. Kakashi turned to see Kuratsuchi approaching them. In the forest, I fought Naruto. He knew Kenjutsu that'll give most Jonin a hard time, some water ninjutsu and some unique clones. Also he took down one of those sounds with ease. Karen added. Kakashi narrowed his eyes. How does Naruto know Kenjutsu on that level? Also water ninjutsu. Kenjutsu. Kakashi's eyes widened and turned to Yugao. Naruto is your student, isn't he? Yugao smirked and folded her arms under her. Took you long enough to figure it out, Kakashi. Yes, I trained Naruto throughout most of the year. But why? He has me. And you fail him. Yugao cut him off. Did you forget who my sensei was? Kakashi thought about it before he realized who she was talking about. When he became your student, I trusted you to train him because I thought you would put in your best effort for his parents, but all he learned in 2 months was tree climbing. So I asked the Hokage to step in and I molded him into the shinobi I knew he could be. With his stamina and the power of his shadow clones, he was the best student anyone can ask for. He became my apprentice. Kakashi didn't know what to feel. He wanted Sasuke to be stronger because he was a flight risk and was going to train his other 2 students next year. But you don't know Fuinjutsu. I actually helped with that. Kakashi turned to Tsunade. After all, why wouldn't I help my grandson? Why your grandson? Kakashi repeated. Yes, and he told me all his experience with Team 7. We will talk later, understand Hatake? Yes ma, Tsunade said before turning to Kiba. And you mutt, you've been insulting my grandson since we started. I will be stopping by your compound and speaking to Sum-san about this. Kiba nodded and turned to the field. Kakusareta Yami. Nato said, but to everyone else, nothing happened. Arg. Everyone turned to Sasuke as he was screaming while holding his eyes. Dobi, what did you do? When Sasuke moved his hand, his eyes were black. Like I said, I made your dojutsu useless. Naruto said, as long as this jutsu is active, your Sharingan is not. You such a coward. Remove this jutsu and fight me for real. I think not. Naruto said before dashing towards the Uchiha. He kicked Sasuke back tumbling. Sasuke recollected himself and heard Naruto rushing him. He threw a punch in the direction but hit the air. Nice try, Tem. he heard before being punched in the face. Naruto made two Kage Bunshin and they began to run around the Uchiha, confusing him. Naruto, you will not beat me. Sasuke yelled, throwing shuriken in every direction but hitting nothing. Uzumaki barrage. Naruto and his clones yelled before two of them uppercutted him in the air and the real one dropped and kicked him to the ground. Sasuke slowly got up and felt a palm on his chest, but unknowing to him, it was the same palm that absorbed his attack earlier. Release. The fireball hit the Uchiha at close range, causing him to burn by his own technique and scream in pain. Sasuke's body just lied on the ground, shaking a bit. I can't believe Sasuke lost to Naruto. Choji said, dropping his chips. I knew he would win. Ino cheered. Yeah, that's showing him Naruto-kun. That's what he gets for treating us like shit, Shanaru. Sakura said. I can't believe Sasuke lost. Kakashi said. He trained the boy for months, even if it was not high-tier techniques, him being a Uchiha should have put him at an advantage. Kiba's mouth was wide opened. Yugao didn't say anything. She felt something build up in the Uchiha. She looked down at her student and saw him narrowing his eyes at Sasuke as well, but he didn't seem worried. Flashback a day ago. Knock knock. Come in. Kabuto walked in with a smirk. Sasuke ed an eyebrow. Kabuto right. What are you doing here? Sasuke asked. That curse mark on your neck, my master instructed me to help you master its power. That's what you crave, am I right? Kabuto asked. Who are you? Sasuke asked. Don't worry about it, Kabuto said, reaching into his pocket and pulling out a container with a black pill. The question is, do you have the hatred to control this power? Sasuke slowly got on his knees and a black swirl of chakra started to surround his body. He then started to laugh maniacally. This is the power I've been searching for, I see now. This isn't a curse, this is a gift. Sasuke said as black marks appeared on his body. Kid, be careful, I sense a great evil coming from him. You might have to use one of your hidden techniques. How about? Naruto listened and nodded. I got it, that's one of my weaker techniques and not as chakra consuming. Naruto agreed with his partner. Naruto deactivated his seal and went into a defensive stance. Sasuke gave Naruto an evil smirk and went through some hand signs. Kaden. Ryuka no Jutsu. Sasuke shot a torrent of flame towards Naruto. Naruto races through some hand signs before to protect himself. Sweden. Sujinheki. Naruto shot a wall of water out of his mouth, meeting the flames. To Naruto's surprise, shurikens came out of the water. He must have used the flames to cover them. Naruto whipped out a kunai and parried them. Sasuke used the distraction and got behind the blonde with his hand covered in lightning. Naruto turned the round and saw the attack coming, but he was grabbed by the neck. Thinking quickly, he used his left palm to redirect the attack to his left shoulder. Erg! Naruto let out a loud painful scream as he was pinned to the floor. Naruto-kun, san. Multiple people yelled out in a worried tone. Karen, Anko, Tsunade, Honka and Yugao started to radiate killer intent. Man, how crazy did Sasuke get? Shikamaru asked. To do that to your own teammate. Choki added. Kakashi was shocked and shaking in fear for his blonde student. This isn't supposed. He was interrupted when he was pinned to the wall by an angry snake mistress. He saw Anko's eyes and the hatred in them right now scared the shit out of him. You moron. You taught a mentally deranged boy an A-rank jutsu. If anything happens to Naruto-kun, I'm killing you and the Uchiha. And trust me, I will make it as painful as possible. Anko said. Hinoka rested a hand on Anko, causing her to calm down before tossing Kakashi to the ground. Naru-chan, hang in there. Tsunade pleaded. She was about to jump over the rail until Yugao grabbed her. Tsunade turned to with a confused look. It's not over, Yugao said. Yugao was trembling in anger, but she knew of Naruto's healing factor from their missions. You redirect the attack to your shoulder to stop me from giving a lethal blow, but it doesn't matter. You won't be able to use that arm of yours any longer. Sasuke said sinisterly. You want to bet? Naruto yelled before uppercutting Sasuke, sending him flying. Sasuke hit the ceiling before falling onto the ground. When he stood back up, his eyes widened when he saw the wound he just caused being healed. Naruto lifted his head up and his eyes were slit in gold, his whiskers were darker. The chakra around his body was gold as well. Sasuke, you just made a big mistake trying to kill me. Time to take your punishment. How? What the hell are you, Naruto? Sasuke yelled in anger. I can't believe it. Naruto was able to fuse his and Kuruma's chakra, and somehow purifying it, the Hachibi said. What do you mean 8-0? Well, to put it simply, Naruto is pouring his chakra into Kurama and Kurama is sending it back to him, mixing it with own. Somehow they balance it out. Usually when Jinchurikis use Biju chakra, they halt their own chakra and fill their chakra network with the Biju chakra. Naruto somehow purified using his body and Kurama fueling it. Is there a side effect? Yes, he can only use the amount his body handles, but he won't lose control. Naruto breathed in as the gold chakra receded into him and stared at Sasuke with his gold eyes. Alright Tem, I hope you are ready. Sasuke activated his Sharingan before Naruto disappeared and reappeared behind. Sasuke turned around and was met with a punch to the face, sending him flying. Naruto chased after him and more Narutos appeared, but there was no smoke. Sasuke collected himself and threw a kick towards the closest Naruto, but his leg went through him. A fake. But I feel like I have seen this technique before. Sasuke said, but was surprised when the Naruto he kicked through combo him from the stomach up and kicked him to the wall. I'm not done. Naruto grabbed his face and ran him against the wall before tossing him to another Naruto. Sasuke saw this and threw a kunai towards the Naruto he was headed to, but his weapon went through him again. Once he came close to that particular Naruto, he was kicked into the air. Sasuke used his chakra to stick to the ceiling before glaring at the blonde. You didn't think I would realize. How do you know? Shisui ne illusion dance. You're lucky Naruto-kun is alright, Hatake. Anko said with venom. You need to rein the Uchiha in, he almost killed my grandson. Tsunade threatened. I'm glad Naruto-kun is alright. Sakura said before glaring at the Uchiha. This is the second time he tried to kill his teammate. Don't worry, forehead. Naruto will kick his. Ino cheered. That Uchiha is dishonorable. Yugito said. She was upset at what the Uchiha did, but she knew Naruto, but being a Jinchuriki, she knew Naruto would recover. So uncool, Uchiha-san is filled with hate and so much pride. Plus to kill your own teammate. Is he that jealous? Samui said. None of you damn business, now let's continue. Naruto said before disappearing in a blur. Sasuke followed suit and the two began a taijutsu brawl, but Naruto had the upper hand. Sasuke was getting angrier by the minute. How did the Dobi get this strong? Sasuke went for a punch and Naruto countered with an arm to the face. He's a nobody. Sasuke went in for a kick, but Naruto grabbed his leg and tossed him away. I'm an Uchiha, I shouldn't be losing like this. Sasuke jumped off the wall and charged him through the air. Naruto met him halfway and lariated him, then axe kicked him to the ground, creating a crater. I will not lose to a clanless nobody. Sasuke's body started to transform into Curse Mark Stage 2 with wings growing out his back in the shape of hands. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the Uchiha. So that's how far you'll go. Naruto said in a disappointing tone. This ends now, Naruto. Sasuke charged up a black Chidori and flew toward Naruto. I was going to save this jutsu but I have no choice. Futon. Tatsu no Oshigoto. Naruto created a tornado dragon that engulfed the Uchiha and slammed into the ceiling as it tore up his body. Soon the wind died down and Sasuke was back to his normal form, falling to the ground unconsciously. Naruto breathed in and his features turned back to normal. Hayate approached the two and raised a hand towards Naruto. Winner is Naruto Uzumaki. The medics came up to the field and took Sasuke to the infirmary. Naruto jumped up the rail and approached Yugao and bowed. I'm sorry, Yugao-sensei. I shouldn't have underestimated him and used my sword. Why didn't you use it? Because I might have killed him and didn't want to take the chance since he's a teammate, even if it's only a title now. Naruto answered. And I'm proud. You showed you had more self-control and used the necessary tools to take him down. Good job, my apprentice. Yugao said, patting his head. Sakura glomped the male blonde in a hug and Ino hugged him from the other arm. Naruto felt them quivering a bit and sigh. I'm sorry for worrying you too. It's okay, Sakura said. It wasn't your fault, Ino added. Naruto nodded and turned to the three people who were worried the most, Tsunade, Shizune and Anko. He went to Tsunade first, who gave him a bone-crushing hug. I'm sorry, Ba-chan. Shush, it wasn't your fault, just like Sakura said. The Uchiha needs therapy and to fix his ego. I'm glad you are okay. Tsunade let go and as soon as she did, Shizune hugged him from behind. Good job on your win, was all she said before kissing him on the cheek. Naruto relaxes in her hug but to his dismay, she releases him. Naruto looked at Anko and walked in front of her. Hubby Heim. Anko pulled Naruto's head to her and he felt tears falling on his head, but fortunately for her, her back was turned to everyone else. I thought I lost you. I was scared. Don't worry, I won't die until we have our wedding and start our family. Plus, I still need to become Hokage. Naruto said, hugging her back. I'll make it up to you later. He whispered in her ear, causing to give him a sexy grin. I'll hold you to that, Anko said before giving him a quick kiss on the lips. Now everyone pay attention to the screen. Hayate ordered as the screen started to change. When it stopped, Naruto turned to Sakura and smiled. It's your turn, Sakura-chan. Sakura turned to Naruto and smiled. A kiss for good luck. Naruto chuckled and pecked her on the lips. Sakura jumped down and waited for her opponent. Sakura Haruno vs Kiba Inuzuka. Kiba jumped down and smirked at the pinkett. Wow, we really got lucky. You're weaker than Naruto, right, Akamaru? The dog barks in agreement. I'm not as weak as you think, mutt. Sakura yelled. I'll kick Hi-san, send him back to the dog pound, Shanaro. Inner Sakura said. Kiba, do not underestimate your opponent. Kurenai scolded. Please sensei, she's a weak fangirl. But I'm nice enough to give you one free hit. Kiba said, spreading out his arms. Sakura smirked. Fine, but it's your fault if you lose. Sakura said, walking up to the boy. Please, if you think you can beat me in one punch, you are dumber than. Kiba didn't get to finish when he was hit in the jaw by a super strong punch, sending him halfway through the wall. Kiba was blacked out with a swollen cheek and a few teeth missing, buried in the wall. Kurenai rubbed her face disappointedly. Hayate's sweat dropped a bit. Winner Sakura Haruno. Sakura jumped up and approached Tsunade. How was that shisho? Sakura asked. Hinata looked at the board and turned to Anko. They stare at each other for a while until Anko mouthed something to Hinata. The Hyuga heiress turned to Naruto and smirked. Naruto-kun, I want you to watch how much I changed. Naruto analyzed Hinata and could tell she was stronger, but not just in strength. Of course, I'll be watching. Teach that a lesson. Hinata smiled and nodded before she jumped over the rail. Neji just walks down normally. Now that both competitors are here, you may begin. Hayate said. Before the match begins, I'd like to say something to Hinata-sama. You don't make a good shinobi and should forfeit now. You're too kind and try to avoid conflict. You're easily influenced and have no self-confidence. I believe you should stay a genin. I understand you only entered because you didn't want to let your team down and it was admirable, but you should know you can't defeat me. Fate is absolute. I'm stronger than you and you are weak. The nerve. Kurenai said. Hinata has been having problems with her self-confidence and he's taking advantage of it. Anko just smirked. She had self-confidence. Now my little project, show everyone what you are made of. Hinata closed eyes and shook her head. Fate. Is that what you believe, Ni-san? Ni-san. Are they brother and sister? Sakura asked. No, they're cousins. Hinata is from the main family and Neji is from the branch family. Naruto answered. I heard there were issues between the two families, hopefully it doesn't escalate to something serious. Shizune said. Well, we're here for a reason. If things get out of hand, we'll stop it. Tsunade reassured Shizune. Yes, no one can defy fate. It's absolute. Neji said. If you believe that, then you are blind. Hinata said, causing Neji to glare at her. You believe in fate because you gave up. What was that? Neji sneered. If fate was absolute, explain how Naruto-kun, who was the dead last of our class, beat the rookie of the year. How did Sakura, who was physically weaker than Kiba, beat him in a punch? And most importantly, explain why you are standing here in front of me. Hinata said. It was fate that decided our battle. Neji answered. If fate is really in control, then surrender to me. After all, I'm from the main family and you are from the branch. You are supposed to protect me, not raise your hand against me. Hinata said, angering Neji. If fate is in control, you will listen to me. If you stay and fight, that's because you want to. And we both know you want to fight but not because of fate. It's because you hate me, am I wrong? You know nothing. Neji retorted. Really? Maybe I should let fate take control and activate the seal on you. Hinata said, scaring Neji and surprising most of the Jonin. Hinata is not stuttering. Kurenai said, in a surprising tone. She's playing with his emotions. Ino said, I never seen Hinata. She's calm, she's actually in control of the conversation. Shino said, that's what he gets, he shouldn't speak like he knows everything. Naruto said, but Hinata does seem different, the last time I saw her. Naruto's eyes widened and smirked before looking at Anko. I see, that's what happened. Anko turned to her favorite blonde and gave him a smirk. That girl, she's going to win. Samui said. I agree. Yugito said as well. She focuses and she's determined. Plus her potential is higher than his. I don't get it. Why would Neji say she's a failure then? Karui asked. It's because of how she acted. Naruto said, approaching the Kumo team. She doesn't like to fight or hurt, so when she trained with her family, she lost in spars and was deemed a failure. Plus she had confidence issues. I see. Yugito said before walking behind Naruto and wrapping her arms around him. So they view her as a weakling. But she doesn't seem that way. Yeah, she had a little help. Naruto said, looking at Anko and saw her giving him a wink. You see Ni-san, if fate was in control, I could just activate the seal and guarantee my win. You're fighting me because you despise me and want to, not because of fate. If fate really exists, you'll do what I say and give up. Hinata said. On the battlefield, status doesn't matter. Neji said. And neither does fate. Only a coward would believe in that. Hinata said, angering Neji further. Enough. I'll prove destiny cannot be changed. Neji said, getting into a stance. Hinata assumed a different stance that surprised the male Hyuga. Hinata was standing on one leg and aligned her thumbs under her ring and index finger. What stance is that? My own. Now let's begin. Neji charged Hinata, who stood in the same stance. Neji thrust his palm forward, but Hinata twirls around the attack and strikes his shoulder. Neji turned towards and thrust his palm at her again. Hinata spinned under his arm and striked his rib, followed by a sweep kick and palmed Neji into his chest. Neji flew back a bit before collecting himself. Neji charged the heiress and they started exchanging blows. Neji was furious. He couldn't get a hit because Hinata was using her flexibility to maneuver around his attacks. Are you going to attack? You only strike me 3 times. Neji said as the two exchanged blows, back to back. I just wanted to see your patterns of attack and your physical abilities, and I learned something. You are not faster than I am and your attacks are too straightforward. Hinata said calmly. Chakra started to form around her fingers. Hake Sunakudansu. 8 trigrams snake dance. The chakra around her fingers turned to snake hands. Now let's continue. Hinata starts striking Neji at a rapid speed. What's going on? She shouldn't be this fast. Neji asked himself. He tried to strike Hinata, but the heiress dodged it with ease. He slowly started to feel sluggish and noticed that Hinata wasn't moving faster, he was moving slower. You haven't noticed, have you? Hinata asked. What? Neji sneered. She's been sending electricity through his muscles and chakra network every time she strikes him, causing his body reaction speed. Naruto said. It's like a snake bite. When venom goes through your bloodstream, it makes your body slow down. Very creative. That's not all she can do. Anko commented. How do you know? Kurenai asked. Ni chn, you still haven't figured it out yet? Anko asked. Kurenai narrowed her eyes before it widened. You've been training her. You got it. The little princess had talent, but she was shackled by her emotions. So, I turned her to the kunoichi that was hidden beneath her shell. Anko said. You had no right to train my student. Kurenai said. Anko narrowed her eyes at the genjutsu mistress. I helped because you couldn't, and besides, I told her if she didn't change, I would not allow her to date Naruto. Wait, what? Naruto responded. You said I get to decide who gets to hook up with you, and if the princess wins her match, you have to go on a date with her. Anko said. Unknown to her, a lot of the other girls overheard this and were thinking of a way to convince Anko to let them date the blonde. Neji kept trying to hit Hinata, but the heiress was parrying him with ease. Ni-san, please give up. I don't want to hurt you any more than I need to. You are a failure, fate is on my side and will hail victories. Neji said, gritting his teeth. I see, I'm sorry. Hinata said before she dashed forward. Neji panicked at the speed Hinata was moving at but went for a palm strike. Hinata ducked under it and sent 3 rapid strikes to Neji's chest, causing him to cough up some blood. Neji recollected himself and tried to strike her head. Hinata tilted her head to the side and avoided the attack before grabbing his arm and slamming him on his back. Hinata created some distance from her cousin, waiting for him to make his next move. Neji stood up slowly with static over his body. I will not lose, you're in range. Neji said as he extended his arms and legs forward. So you do know it. I guess I have to retaliate. Hinata aligned her foot, one behind the other. Hake Rokujuyin Sho. Shugohak Rokujuyin Sho. Neji rushed Hinata, aiming to strike Hinata's chakra points, but Hinata started to weave chakra from her palms that began to form thin blades of chakra. She then started to add lightning in to strengthen the jutsu. As the two attacks met, Neji started to take more damage as he got electrocuted as Hinata was striking his chakra points. Neji was now the only one being attacked, and after it ended, he was paralyzed on the ground. I can't move, Neji said. Hinata deactivated her Byakugan and frowned at her cousin. Ni-san, I'm sorry for the pain I caused you, but I will not take the blame for my uncle's death. I was 3 years old, I doubt even you could fight a Jonin and you were stronger. After thinking clearly, I found it strange that my father would just order his brother to take the fall for his actions. Uncle was a kind man. Do you think he would have just let his own brother sacrifice himself equals? What are you saying? Neji asked weakly. Well, if we were in the same situation, I would give my life for you, but not because we're from the same clan. It's because I care about you, Ni-san. Hinata said. Neji's eyes softened. Did Tu-san sacrifice himself? Was I wrong? Winner of the match, Hinata Hyuga. Way to go, Hinata-chan. Naruto cheered, making the heiress blush. She walked back up the stairs and looked at Anko like she was asking something. Anko chuckled and gave her a nod. Hinata gave the biggest smile and grabbed Naruto by the collar. Hina HMPH. Naruto was silenced by Hinata's lips as she gave him a kiss like she wanted to for years. She pulled back and looked at Naruto's dazed expression. I've been waiting to do that for months, she said before clinging to Naruto. Heh, was all Naruto could say. Samui vs. Kankuro. Samui turned to look at Kankuro and narrowed his eyes. Make sure to put on a show. Yugito said. He will be watching. Yugito said, looking at Naruto. Samui followed her gaze and smirked. Cool. I won't lose. Samui flipped over the rail and landed. Wish me luck, Kankuro said before leaping over the rail. He eyed Samui with a confident smirk. Sorry, but you're not making it past me. I'm amazed that you are able to speak. It must not be comfortable. Samui said, confusing everyone but the Jinchurikis and chakra sensors. Samui had her right fist forward and her other one ed back. She knows. Gaara said, gaining his sister's attention. What? But how does she? Tamari asked. She must be a sensor or a battle expert. Gaara said. Either way, there's one thing for certain. Kankuro is going to lose. Gaara said. Tamari's eyes widened before turning to the soon-to-be fight. What do you think about this fight, Naruto-kun? Ino asked. Well, if she's from Kumo, she might specialize in speed. Since Kankuro is from Suna, he should utilize wind jutsu, but since he's a puppeteer, all she has to do is get around his puppet and he will be defenseless. As a puppeteer, he doesn't rely on close combat, so taijutsu is his weakness. Naruto answered. Plus, she already knows his trick. And there's that sword of hers. Karen said. Samui channeled lightning into her feet and disappeared in blinding speed. She appeared behind Kankuro and threw a punch at his wrapped puppet. When she striked, a cry of pain came from the puppet as Kankuro and he was sent, skidding against the ground. Sand started to fall from Kankuro's face, revealing a puppet. Kankuro came out of the wrapping, holding his chest. How did you know? You were too obvious. What kind of puppeteer goes on a battlefield with his puppet stashed? Plus, I can sense chakra. Samui said as she grabbed her sword and slowly drew it. Now let's begin. Kankuro got on his feet and sent a crow after Samui. Crow forearms had blades coming out them. Samui looked unimpressed. Kankuro smirked as Crow got closer, which didn't go unnoticed by the Kumo nin. Crow shot some needles out his mouth at rapid speed. She can't dodge all of them. Samui was still calm and got in a running stance. Static flash strike. Samui disappeared in a blur of lightning and appeared behind Kankuro and sheaths her sword. When she did, a cut mark appeared on Kankuro's chest and he passed out. He won't die, don't worry. Samui said, looking up at Tamari. He wasn't that cool. Winner is Samui, Hayate announced. Samui bowed towards Kankuro as the medics took him away. She walked up the ramp until she was in front of Naruto. Since I won my match, can I have a kiss too? Samui asked her fellow blonde, bluntly. Naruto blushed and turned to Anko. Anko looked at the girl and smirked. Go forward, but you have to give me a kiss later. You got a killer body for your age. Samui looked at Anko and shrugged her shoulders. That's cool, she said before grabbing the back of Naruto's head and kissing him. She went so far as to stick her tongue into his mouth, shocking Naruto further. She pulled back and smirked. Cool kiss, she said before returning to her team. Fu of Taki versus Shino Aburame. Yay, it's my turn. Fu said, jumping down. Shino walked down slowly and stood across from Fu. You may begin, Hayate said. Alright, let's give it our best. Fu said. Shino didn't say anything. He just stood there, quietly. What's going on with Shino-san? He's not doing anything, Hinata asked. I'm not sure. He's not moving at all. Kurenai said. She was staring at her student until she noticed something. He's sweating. Shino is up against the worst matchup for him. Naruto said, making everyone look at him. What do you mean? Sakura asked. I mean, that girl is just like me. Naruto said. And that's just the beginning.